So thank you everybody again for joining us today. We have some panelists here who are going to talk about their experiences at Gettysburg and outside of Gettysburg. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them to introduce themselves. So I guess, Allison, if we could start with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison. I'm a 2018 graduate of Gettysburg, and I am currently in my second year in the Teach for America program. So I teach 9th grade biology and then 12th grade sports, exercise, and health science, and I'll be going to medical school next year.
And how about you, Garrett? If you could go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about where you are and what you've been experienced.
Sure. I'm a senior right now at Gettysburg College. I'm a political science and public policy double major. And right now I'm trying to figure out next step of my life after graduation in May, whether it be in consulting, CRO, pharmaceuticals, or grad school.
Great, thanks. All right, I'm going to go to Anya next.
Hi, I'm Anya Ford. I am a junior from Boston, Mass. I am a business organizations and management major with an economics minor. And right now I am living off campus and, kind of doing the same thing as Garrett, figuring out what's going on for the next summer and how the CGE can help with that, or CCE, sorry.
Perfect, thank you. And how about Adil?
Hi everyone, my name is Adil. I'm an international student from Pakistan. I use he, him. I'm majoring in organization management studies with economics as a double major, also data science and business minor. And currently I'm on campus trying to figure out, like everyone is, the uncertainty as well as what's going to happen for next summer.
Great. And last but not least, Eliza, these are just the order that you appear on my screen.
Sure. Hi, my name is Eliza. I'm a sophomore and I'm a psychology major. I'm probably going to add a minor at some point. I just need to find something that I find interesting.
Great. So the title of this program was sort of a peek into the past summer. So I was going to throw it out to the panel as a whole. If you could just talk a little bit about what you encountered last summer when you were either searching for graduate school, applying for graduate school, or doing an internship or an experiential opportunity. So if you could talk a little bit about what that was like for you, what you actually did, what the summer looked like, and sort of what you learned from the process. And I'll just throw it out if someone wants to start.
I can go ahead. So this past summer, I was actually supposed to be going to Frankfurt, Germany, to be doing an internship in the marketing department at Merck Pharmaceuticals over there. Obviously, that did not work out. The Germans did not want me there. I could not get a visa. With that kind of falling apart, I got this really great opportunity from a parent of a current student at Cordatus Capital. This was sent out to a bunch of students to apply for, and I ended up being able to join I think there were about 10 Gettysburg students doing this kind of first trial run for this company for their internship program. And Cordatus is a private equity firm based out of Dallas. And so we were able to do some really cool stuff with financial analysis and the things that I hadn't really considered previously doing as a job, but that I actually really ended up loving. And that's kind of changed the trajectory of what I'm looking at. So.
Great, thank you. Who would like to chime in next?
Well, just like it was a very, let's say, interesting year, because I was supposed to actually be in Wuhan, China in the spring, actually at a CRO. And then I also was supposed to be in Germany too, actually at BioNTech, possibly in the fall too. So it's been experiencing just in recovering yourselves and going on to the next opportunity in life. So this summer I worked at Pfizer. I was in the Global Innovation Healthcare Center. I worked a little bit on the vaccine. I was helping, do business deals for value-based healthcare. And aside from that, I did a program at Deloitte, internship program at Deloitte, and also did a program through A&T. And also I became the chief policy officer for this nonprofit right now that is being looked at by acquisition by some conservative organizations.
How about Adil? Would you mind talking?
Yeah. Sure. So like even before the application process, everything like just being an international student, like it's like you have really limited opportunities, and the research that goes into it is, I guess, very specific, like finding out companies or the organizations that actually sponsor work visas as well as allow students to work on CPD. And I feel like that given with the whole COVID situation really did enhance the difficulty level for me to like find an internship. I almost applied to like 100 internships, got interviews with like 20. And I ended up choosing this really cool tech organization based out of California. And it's basically an internship management platform. Their product is internship management platform. And they source out that platform to like different organizations to manage interns. So this really cool tech diverse, all female founded organization is what I was working with. And I was their finance and business development intern. So a lot of budgeting, a lot of estimations, finding business leads. And yeah, that was my summer, along with having this program certificate of leadership certificate at AT&T.
Great. That's a lot of applications.
Yeah.
So who would like to go next?
I can talk. So my experience was a little bit different just because I had already graduated. So I was actually applying to medical school this past summer. And then because I'm a teacher, I had some time off from um, teaching. So I was applying to medical school and then taking some classes because I'm also getting my master's degree in education right now. So that was what I did this summer, and then had some virtual interviews with med schools.
And I think that leaves you, Eliza.
Sure. During the summer, or this past summer, I did a virtual camp, I did a virtual camp called Pop Up Play, which is like it's a virtual camp where we help students or help the children enjoy themselves by making forts or decorating doll houses and all those fun things. Because during quarantine, they were bored, and so that's what I did this summer.
Great. So Anya, you hit on this a little bit, but I'm kind of curious if everybody would be willing to talk about sort of how this specific experience and process sort of relates to where you want to go with your career path, and sort of how you're thinking about incorporating some of the lessons that you've learned this summer into your career planning going forward. Maybe we'll start with Garrett.
One of the mottos like for work is just make bold moves. And at the end of the day, like the world's very turbulent right now. You're not sure what's going to happen. So you just got to have as many opportunities, as many options as possible. Like I look at many stuff right now, and at the end of the day, one of them is going to stick.
So there seems to be sort of a theme of maybe looking at adding some more opportunities and more applications to your process because there's some more limited opportunities. And Anya, you mentioned a little bit that it sort of changed your focus a little bit, or you learned some things you weren't expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, again, echoing what Garrett said, it's kind of in the interest of broadening my options and broadening my opportunities. I was originally, like I said, going to be doing marketing in Germany, and then doing a financial analyst job from home was a little bit different. And I really got to look at a whole different side of the corporate world that I'd never really encountered before. And I knew that was something I'd be interested in pursuing in some form or another. I've done sales in the past, and then again with the marketing opportunity. So just kind of having that opportunity presented that broadened my perspective on what I could do and what I could be in the future was definitely very helpful.
Great. Did anybody else have any unexpected things that you learned over the summer through this process?
I could talk a little bit.
Sorry.
You can go.
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, having faith is very important. Like, I remember like this one offer that I got before like they canceled it. I feel like it was a very difficult time for me to, like, accept the fact that I had gone through all of that stuff to make sure what I needed to do, and I got this opportunity, and finally when everything was falling in place, like it kind of just like falls apart, all of it. And like I feel like in those moments, like it's really important to like have faith in you, and just like making sure that you're taking care of yourself, even though, like, the universe and everything else is working against you. You got to make sure that you know what you're capable of, and just like having faith in that, very important.
I was just going to talk a little bit about like being a teacher during this time has been really like quite a big adjustment going from like online, and then I teach in Texas, so we have like a situation now where we have some kids in person and some are online. So I'm like teaching the kids online and in person at the same time, and it's been like a really like challenging experience. But I think it's just shown me like what I'm truly capable of, and like my resilience and adaptability. And I think that that is something that I'll take with me like going forward into the medical field. So it's been definitely like a great learning experience for me personally.
Great. So I'm kind of curious, I think if you could talk a little bit, sort of circling back to the beginning of the panel, how you feel that your major at Gettysburg College has sort of prepared you for the internship or the field that you're pursuing. What are some of the takeaways that you're currently using, or that you used during the summer, or that you're going to be using going forward?
I can start. I was a health sciences major at Gettysburg. So what I liked about my major is that I got all of the like core sciences that I needed for like medical school prerequisites, but I also got to like explore like human anatomy and physiology and like the upper level electives with like orthopedic anatomy and chronic disease, and as well as just like the opportunities that we had as part of my major. We had to do a capstone internship, so I actually did mine at a rural clinic in Alaska. And that is something like I've noticed in my medical school interviews has like come up basically at every single one. And a lot of them have like remarked on like how Gettysburg has really like set me up with a lot of great opportunities. I did like the pre-health professions program they had at Penn State. Is a primary care scholars program. That's what I'm looking for. I did that. I did an externship through the Center for Career Development with a doctor. So I guess I kind of expanded on that question, but my major and the opportunities that went along with it like really helped prepare me to be accepted into medical school, because I don't think like I had the best GPA or the best MCAT, but it was like really those experiences that I think allowed me to like stand out in the application process.
Great. Eliza, I'm curious with you with pop-up play. How does that relate to what you're studying, or perhaps even some experiences that you've had before, maybe building on what Allison was talking about?
Sure. For pop-up play, I want to do something with children or work with children. So having that experience made me realize that I really do love working with children. And hopefully I do something with my major in that. Yeah.
Great. Other people, anybody else have any things that they've sort of gleaned from their major as they've looked at these experiences?
I can talk about the management department. So the management department has two majors falling under it now. There's OMS, which is the Organization Management Studies, and then BOM, which is Business Organizations and Management. BOM was just released last year. I was one of the few juniors who was able to switch over into that. And the difference there is that BOM has a few more kind of technical requirements. So you have to take marketing and finance and accounting, things like that. Well, OMS kind of looks at the broader standpoint of an organization's role in society, both of which are totally awesome options. I was an OMS major before I switched over to BOM, so I like both of them very much. But for me personally, why I chose to switch into BOM was because I was going to be looking at and the roles that I've enjoyed doing in the past in various like internships and externships and things like that have been more kind of technically focused. They've been more analysis roles. And so having those more technical prerequisites have definitely been a huge help and taking those early definitely made me stand out in the internship applicant pool from early on. I've been able to have internships all the 2 summers that I've been in school, and then I have one for this summer as well. So definitely having that kind of aptitude under my belt, supported through the department, has been a really, really great opportunity.
Great.
I think for my major, public policy, it's been very effective in teaching me how to problem solve and find opportunities and like seeing, like predicting what's going to happen in the future. For example, at work, summer, my boss was able to, give me a lot of problems that we want you to do for this, predict, predict how this is going to affect the market, stuff like that. And due to my major, I was very effective in getting that done. So public policy has been very effective in helping you solve problems. And at the end of the day, if you're a problem solver, you're gonna get a job.
Adil, anything to add? So I'm also curious, Allison, I think you hit on this a little bit with some of your experiences, but some of the extracurricular opportunities that maybe you've taken advantage of Gettysburg, whether they were through the Center for Career Engagement or whether they were outside of that, just that might have helped, that you've learned some lessons from that were really sort of critical in some of the experiences that you've had over the summer and during your time at Gettysburg College.
I can talk a little bit more in detail. I know I started getting into this, but one of the first experiences that I had was going on one of the immersion trips to Berea, Kentucky, and we were looking at public health there in the community. We stayed with an alumna of Gettysburg College, Dr. Zook, and we just got to go into like different community organizations and learn about like what are some of the challenges that are faced like in this area with the population. And what I really liked is that, my major was a little bit more on like, here's like the hard sciences. And this kind of gave me a look into like the like social side of things, like different social issues. And it kind of really started my interest in like getting to work with rural populations. And so that is something that has like became a focus of like my personal statement and for medical school applications, is that I want to work with like underserved and rural populations. And I think that interest kind of started there with that trip. And then I also, I talked about my capstone in Alaska. That was kind of what motivated me to find a rural area for my capstone, was that experience that I had with that immersion trip. I also did an externship with a doctor in California. He is a DO, and that was like the first time I had really like thought about like DO versus MD. So I got to see how he used his education with like the manipulative medicine, and actually like he ended up writing me one of my recommendation letters for medical school. And I just recently found out that I got into the medical school that he went to. So that was really cool. It like kind of came full circle. And then the other one I mentioned was the primary care scholars program at Penn State. So we actually got to go like live at Penn State for a few days. We met with like medical students and professors and learned about like different avenues in primary care. So like all of those experiences kind of like came together to let me know that like I want to go to, an osteopathic medical school. I want to pursue primary care, working with rural populations. So I'm really thankful that I had those experiences. And like I said earlier, like they came up in like almost every one of my interviews. And one of my interviewers was a medical school professor. And he's like, like I spent like a few hours looking at your application and like all the things that you did through Gettysburg. And I actually like called my friend, and his daughter is looking for a college. And I said, you need to check out this school because like they have a lot of great opportunities. So I know that it's something that like has gotten noticed by the medical schools as well. So I can't speak highly enough of like getting involved with a lot of the stuff that the Center for Career Engagement provides.
How about Eliza? Any things that you've been involved in? I know it's been a little bit of shorter time wise in terms of your time at Gettysburg, but some extracurricular activities or some things that you've been involved in that were helpful along the way.
Sure. I did a program called eSchool for Girls. I'm still in the program. as a counselor, which is like I guide girls into making a business or yeah, to make a business and stuff. So what that program taught me is there's always a solution to a problem. And you can do that just by you can do it just by finding a solution. It doesn't matter what the solution is unless you believe in it. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Adil, anything to add?
I feel like Allison did such a good job by like explaining how for every Gettysburg student, their experiences, the stuff they do, the jobs that they take on, it all comes together. It all falls in place, like, and makes them into this one person who's ready for future. Personally speaking, working at Office of Animal Giving Day, doing the phonathon, working at OME, going to Rwanda for this immersion trip, like all of these experiences have definitely contributed so much to my personality as well as who I am today. So I'm very thankful for that. And yeah.
Anya or Garrett, anything to add?
Well, I would say,
Sorry, go
you can
ahead,
for it.
Garrett.
Well, I'm saying just be aggressive. Like at my time at Gettysburg, I've been on 3 immersion trips, many externship opportunities. Just put yourself out there, and Gettysburg College alumni are very friendly. And if you put yourself out there, opportunities are going to happen. And at the end of the day, it's just about like being open to as many possibilities as possible. And over time, the combined experiences are going to help you into a better person and make you see the wider view of the world.
Great.
And so I was just going to say, in addition to all the awesome opportunities that everyone's talked about through the Center for Career Engagement, definitely externships were something that I took a lot of. I took advantage of. I had a great time doing a couple different externships in the Boston area. But Gettysburg as a whole, the opportunities presented to students for student leadership, for teamwork, for any kind of like our Center for Public Service. All of those options are things that stand out, and they're so readily available at Gettysburg to, join a club sport and become a leader through that way. Greek life, all of those different opportunities. Just being involved in a community is definitely something that I've talked a lot about in various interviews for internships.
Great. I'm gonna, in a moment, I may ask Tiffany to chime in here a little bit and we can talk a little bit about some of the ways that we're looking to work with opportunities since they're a little bit more limited right now. But we can touch on that a little bit. But most of you talked for a moment about some of the advice. Any further, I want to open it up for questions also. So I'm curious to know if you could talk a little bit on any services as well as the experiential, but any services that maybe you took advantage of through the Center for Career Engagement in addition to those, in addition to the experiential pieces, and then any parting words of advice that you would have for students either at the beginning of their time at Gettysburg or in the middle or getting ready to graduate.
I mean, in terms of actual services that the Center for Career Engagement offers, there's a gajillion, and they always have appointments available, which is awesome. I give tours at the school too, so I always like to say they're there for you, whether you know exactly what you're doing, your resume's all planned out, and you just need an into the industry, or you walk in, say, I have no idea what I want to do with my life, and they'll help you plan that too. So I've used them for resume writing. I've done cover letter writing workshops there. And just going in and talking with someone, kind of like decompressing after an externship opportunity, going what I liked, what I didn't like, all of those. They're just really great people who have the other side of the kind of scary process of beginning your career, and so they're there to kind of walk you through the whole thing and be a resource for you from when you're at Gettysburg until you're out and you're alumni, and you can always make use of that alumni network.
I'm gonna interject because we do have a question. So maybe you could add to your answer about at what point you started to connect with our office. So just add that into your.
So mine was my first semester, first year. We have, I'm gonna forget the name of this program, but I think it's first year experiences or something like that. And there's a bunch of kind of boxes to check off to get some points and whatnot. And one of those first year experiences was making a visit to the Center for Career Engagement. And I got an email from the Center for Career Engagement saying, like, we have coffees and cookies, come hang out with us. And who's going to say no to that? And so I went and I just started, you know, like talking about resume building and all that. And so I started pretty early on. I know a lot of people do tend to go at some point in their first year just to kind of like get some advice with majors or something like that. But, you know, they're there for you all 4 years. So.
How about others when you first started using the Center for Career Engagement, as well as any advice that you might have for students?
Well, for me, actually was the second week of school. So one of our big alumni, I forget the name now, but he worked at A&T. Jack, the name will come back to me. So he was having a session at the school, and I was a freshman, so I showed up. It was 12 seniors in suit and ties, and I just come in, you know, in shorts, polo, sit down. And he was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to learn, you know, like learn how to be successful." And it says, "I like you," and I still chat him sometimes. But like as a freshman, just like you learn over time that age is just like a number, and if you're confident and you're ambitious, like it doesn't matter how old you are at the end of the day. And also, my last advice is success is on the razor edge of failure, which is one of my mentors first gave me. He's now the head of procurement for US for Novartis. And at the end of the day is you just gotta try a lot of things, and the closer you are to success, the closer you are to also failure too. Because if you want to do something, you're going to be very close to failure most of the time.
Other panelists for when you first encountered the Center for Career Engagement and advice?
I can't really remember. Oh,
I'm really sorry, Allison.
No,
You
you're
can
totally
go this
fine.
time.
Okay. I was just gonna say I can't really remember when I first engaged with them. I know like my sophomore year was definitely when I started pursuing some of those opportunities. And I know I definitely went in there and had discussions with you over the years, Katie, about trying to make decisions with what avenue I wanted to go down for my career in the medical field. But I guess just my advice would be to take advantage of like as many of the like experiences and opportunities that are available to you at Gettysburg, as well as getting involved in extracurriculars. I think like it was those experiences that really kind of like shaped me. And you know, when I got to Gettysburg, I was like super shy and like kind of scared to take risks. And then I left. I think like I had changed a lot and become a lot more open to like stepping outside of my comfort zone, like trying new things. And I think I owe it to the experiences I was able to have. So I would just say like don't be afraid to try to pursue some of those opportunities. They may not all work out, but yeah, just put yourself out there is what I would say.
I was going to talk a little about my experience because I did not have a very traditional first year experience. I had transferred to Gettysburg, which was last fall. So definitely I was going through this existential crisis about what I'm going to do in life, how everything's going to work. And I remember, I vaguely remember walking into just like CCE and being like, I don't know what to do. And I remember Marcella was there. She like really took care of things. She literally helped me calm down and like, you know, tried explaining like everyone goes through it and it's totally normal. And I feel like it's CC is not a place that you go for a specific reason. For me personally, it's something that you just go there because like, you know, there's some really good people out there and they genuinely want to help you out. So do take advantage of that. And that's my advice. Know your resources.
Great. Any other pieces of advice?
To add to that, they're very helpful people. Like they're just there to help you in general. Even if it's a stupid question, like they will help you. Yeah.
We love all questions. Great. Well, I do want to open up some time in case there are questions. You can feel free to either unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you want to throw something into the chat. I think we're still sort of small enough that we might be able to handle them over the mic, but if it gets a little bit hard, we'll go back to the chat room. Tiffany, I don't know if we wanted to talk a little bit maybe about some of the things that we're doing in the meantime to kind of connect students with alumni and things like that in the experiential realm.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, as you've heard several folks mention different opportunities through our office to be able to connect with alumni and parents and experiences, whether that's job shadowing, externships, or the immersion trips are some of our big, I think, programs that we do typically organize in pre-COVID timeframe. And so right now we're finding ways to do those things in a virtual means. Project-based opportunities, because we can't necessarily send students out to in person, but to allow students to still connect, whether that's through structured industry focused meetups where you might hear a panel of folks talk about their career path, talk about the trends in the industry right now, how maybe potentially COVID is impacting them, and then certainly opportunities for networking. So those are things that are coming up this year, and certainly students will be able to participate in. And kind of, you know, having worked with the externship program, Eliza was working with Pop-Up Play. Our alumni and parents are really reaching out to say, hey, I could still frame this in a virtual aspect. And so we're working with folks to develop some smaller projects that maybe it's a week, maybe it's a couple weeks, but it's an opportunity for students to still be able to get mentorship, advice, to grow some skills throughout their time working on a particular project. And Pop-Up Play was one of those alumni too that reached out this past summer, and we said we still want to provide these opportunities for students, and so let's find a way to make some of these experiences work. It's not going to be possible in every industry, but that's why we're trying to branch out. It's also why we've been talking over the past year. It's not new. It's been on campus, implemented for about a year, but we have a platform called Connect Gettysburg. It's open to students. It's open to alumni, and certainly parents as well, to be able to share career advice, to find someone to guide you and answer some questions that you may have about the path or what's going on in the industry, or, you know, just to get some insight if you're still exploring and not sure what it is you want to do. These are folks who have gone on and raised their hand specifically to say, I'm here and I'm willing to help. It could be something as far as getting feedback on your resume or helping with an interview. So we're trying to find some ways to embrace this virtual world, help students still kind of navigate this career development process, and connect with folks who are eager to help them as well, in addition to all of us. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. So we have a lot of resources available to help students. So as everybody has said, you know, encourage if students are on with their families right now, you know, come in and talk with us and well, come into the virtual space and chat with us, certainly. But we have a lot of resources online and we're here to help guide you. So I don't know that if I'm forgetting anything, Katie.
I don't think so. I mean, I think I actually have a question here more specifically for health professions, which I'm the health professions advisor here at Gettysburg. And so as we know, and as Tiffany was speaking to, the opportunities are certainly more limited in terms of protocols, but we have still had some things starting to open up. And one of the things too, as Tiffany was mentioning, really connecting with alumni. So as opportunities become more available, those connections have been made during this time. So really working with students to reach out and talk to that. So I think, you know, in terms of specific opportunities and being creative with some of those, if it's very specific to your field, having them come to our office. So if it's pre-health, for example, or I would, they can certainly start with me, and Tiffany is the pre-law advisor here as well. So that can also be a really great opportunity. So I would recommend, because we do have to be a little more creative sometimes, or at least starting the connections in the in the interim, while we wait for some of the protocols to become a little bit less stringent, we can certainly work with students on those opportunities. We currently are hearing that a few more opportunities are becoming available, so definitely making sure that they're keeping in contact with us. In terms of health professions, getting on the health professions, listing the health professions concentration is a way we communicate all of these with students. So have the student connect with me as well, and we can make sure that they're getting that information. I'm sure Allison can attest to the many emails that come through that platform. So yeah, I think those are really key. I think there are things we can do in the interim. The other thing that I think some of the panelists talk about were all of the different offices and how those unique opportunities at Gettysburg, like working with the Center for Public Service, Garthwaite Leadership Center. We currently in our office right now are piloting a new program with partnerships with the Entrepreneurial Center, the GLC and CPS, and putting together something where we're looking for some more direct experiential opportunities for students. So that's one of the advantages, is we do work closely together with other offices as well to kind of be creative in this time. And perhaps some interesting new opportunities are coming. And one of the things that we're also finding is we're able to connect with alumni who are all over the country and world in new ways. And so we're able to make connections between alums and students that weren't necessarily as easy 9 months ago. So there are some opportunities as well as challenges. And so really we want to work together with students to take advantage of those.
I would just add to that, because I see, Colette, I think you had mentioned about your company and internship programs. And I think that's a great, great statement that we are open to learning about new opportunities. And I think as we've been working with our alumni and we've been working with our employer relations team and employers to understand, what is to come in their world too, what's available. We have a platform called Handshake that's available to students to share those opportunities. So certainly if employers want to share those opportunities with Gettysburg College students, we are more than happy to help walk you through how to be able to do that. So I would say, get in touch with our office, and we have a weekly career bulletin that goes out to campus that highlights opportunities, internships. It could be right now, there's a lot of programs being done for free virtually. Certainly in the legal realm, I've been sending some things out, but there's next Monday, there's something through, I'm going to blank on the name of it, but it's about careers in animation. So it's allowing us to share things with folks. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you know of opportunities or hear of opportunities, or internship programs are going to be up and running again, and we're happy to connect.
I got a question about a student whose major may not directly relate to a career path. So for example, an English major or music major, for someone who may not want to go into those paths. So kind of how do we work with students who may need a little direction in that regard? So I don't know, Tiffany, if you have anything on that, or I'm happy to speak to it as well.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I think one of the things and I'd love, if the panelists have anything to add to this too, because I think one of the great things about a liberal arts education is the major isn't necessarily a pre-professional major, right? So you can major in a lot of different things and go a lot of different ways. So that's one of the reasons why we really would love to have students connect with our office to find maybe some of what are those interests, what specifically, how do those interests relate to a career, or what are some of the other things that they are pursuing as well, or maybe what are some on-campus opportunities that might help with some skill development. We focused a lot right now in Center for Career Engagement on competencies. So certain competencies that employers are looking for. And so we can sit down with students and really go through what are some of the competencies that they currently maybe are strong in, and where are some of those areas of development, and what are the opportunities to improve those or work on those. And so they might be an externship or an experiential opportunity, but they might be something on campus. They might be a leadership opportunity through a campus organization. There are still lots of virtual programs that are happening through a variety of offices. Connecting with alumni. There are a lot of alumni out there whose majors. I used to do an exercise with students on where I would cut out the major and then the career path and the first job and have students try to match them. And of course, they never got them right because they were all over the place. And so sometimes connecting with other alumni who have had different pathways, but some of that is just career exploration, finding out maybe what it is that they think they might want to do if it's not as directly evident from the major. And then what are the opportunities that we can help build the skills that they may need, finding those experiential opportunities and helping with that networking. Did I miss anything?
That was great.
Any other advice from our panelists maybe on sort of majors and how you think about that in your career, in career terms?
I mean, something I've heard over and over again from, alumni, people at the Center for Career Engagement, like my advisors, literally every adult who possibly wants to tell me it, is the huge benefit of a liberal arts education is that it teaches you to learn and to be coachable and to be pliable. And in one of my policy and strategy classes this year, we were talking about how technical skills are obviously important, but not necessarily as valued as attitude is in the workplace now, because you can be taught certain things, but you can't be taught how to learn. And so a liberal arts education really does give you that great foundation. And so being able to take all these classes in a bunch of different disciplines is definitely a huge benefit and something that I've really enjoyed and something that I have found has given me a lot of different opportunities. So don't be afraid to take those prereq core classes.
Great. Any other questions? Great. Well, we've had a wide variety of experiences and different places in careers. And so I'm definitely grateful to the panelists for taking time and joining and dealing with all technical difficulties that Zoom likes to throw our way. So I appreciate for everybody hanging in there. We are here again. I'm Katie Matson. As you can reach me through the Career Engagement Center. We can stick around for a little while if people want to ask questions in a smaller forum. That's fine too. But feel free to reach out to us. My colleague Tiffany, I'm sure, is also available to answer questions. We are here. We are taking phone calls. You can call us. We'll get those passed along to us as well. So as I know, we covered quite a bit today and a wide variety of things. So as questions pop up, we hope you'll reach out and we look forward to seeing your students in our office. Well, in our virtual office.